Hey guys, Bart the Nature Guy here. I am in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So just our border state is Wisconsin, and just to the northeast there's that little section of Michigan that's kind of disconnected from the rest of the main part of Michigan where Detroit is and Ann Arbor and whatnot. So it is definitely kind of the south shore of Lake Superior Wilderness. Up here, lots of great places to go where you don't run into one person. I went cross-country skiing yesterday. I think I ran into 2 people in 4 miles on well-groomed trails, and it was definitely a spot to be a busy place, and it's still not busy up here. And so I am up here just enjoying the outdoors. My son is a downhill racer, and so he has some races here in the kind of Indian Head Blackjack. I think it's called Powderhorn ski resort area. That's kind of where I'm based out of right now. Yesterday and today, wanted to keep going with our videos as normal, and so I just wanted to run through what we went through last week, which is kind of backpacking food, or kind of backpacking stoves. This week is more like backpacking food. So we talked about our different stove types. So we have kind of our backpacking stove, the little kind of gas stoves that many backpackers use. One burner, very easy. We talked about having kind of a backup of a kind of a wood burning stove, just a small little place that you can keep a small fire and also set a pot on top. So it kind of gives you the great, and then also, especially for wintertime, which can be nice, is kind of more this can stove concept where you can set it in the snow and use this and keep a small fire here, and that the can kind of condenses the heat and doesn't get your pots and pans so sooty. If you give it a little bit of time and let it heat up, it can kind of create a smokeless fire, which is really nice. It makes it a lot easier than having your pots and pans end up with all that black soot that you see like on the back of a fireplace or whatnot. So one of the kind of the biggest concept changes around backpacking food versus like regular car camping, or maybe like some sort of day hike piece, is weight. You're putting everything on your back, and so really the biggest item in cooking that's going to be your most weight is water. Water is the key function to getting through. So I usually have one for actually hydration and just drinking, and one for cooking. And so I look for bright colors, so that way if I'm leaving camp, I don't accidentally leave one of these behind. That kind of goes for all the utensils. You'll see like reds and oranges, pinks, stuff that's just not natural. And the reason why is I don't want to leave this behind on accident. Number two, number one, it's just leaving something behind that you don't want to leave behind. Number two, not good for the environment to leave things like plastic or anything that's kind of human out there. We all have an impact in the outdoors. So I mean, even if I leave no trace, I haven't necessarily left no trace. My presence is out there, my footprints are out there. I'm a part of nature just like all of us are, and so that's okay. Animals leave prints, we leave prints, that's part of it, but we want to minimize that as best we can and not leave products out there that are kind of unnatural to that environment. And so I look for bright colors when I'm backpacking, and simply so you can find it when you need to go, and especially if it's the weather turns and it gets rainy and stuff and you're kind of moving fast, I want to be able to pick all those things up real quick. The one thing I'm not going to show you today is typically in backpacking, I just didn't bring it, I apologize for that. It's just a long spoon. It's almost about the length of a spatula, and that's used for going into what we call these kind of preset meals. And so just to kind of go over like car camping, you might just bring a can of soup. It's a great way to eat. You can actually take the lid off. A lot of them come with preset lids, which is a great camping hack. Is look for the ones that have those presets. You don't need a can opener at that point. And this can actually get set right, kind of on the edge of the fire. You can turn it a little bit as long as you have something to turn it, especially like a glove or something, so you don't burn yourself, obviously. But with a little spoon or a fork, you can mix that up and have your soup right there in the can. If you can especially get it away from the fire. A couple little things you can use, 2 sticks or whatnot to kind of move it from the fire, or find maybe a little rock to kind of slide it underneath and use it as a little plate, and get it to a spot where you're going to eat. And that way, if the can is hot, you can still eat out of the soup out of the can. Obviously, if you also have things to cook out of, that's always nice and easy. But this is a great piece for car camping, but it's very heavy. The ounces, this is 1 pound and 3 ounces, and it's right in my hand. And when you're trying to go backpacking for 4 or 5 days, I mean, 4 or 5 cans of soup really isn't that much. And also it's only 230 calories per can, and so this is for weight versus calories is just not a good go-to for backpacking. Car camping, it's great because usually you're supplementing with other things, but when you get into backpacking, putting everything on your back, your tent, your clothes, other shelter related needs, some of your safety kind of first aid needs, and your food, that this is going to throw that weight distribution way out of whack. So we're moving into other ways to eat when we're in kind of the backcountry backpacking. So a couple things. There's one area of food that I bring that's weight related, but I really enjoy it. I think it really holds well, and that is peanut butter. So this is going to be a staple when I backpack. I try to bring a plastic jar versus glass, just because of breakability. And also weight. The glass is actually, glass itself is heavy. So, and I try to find good organic peanut butter. Some of them have a lot of sugar content in them. I try to find a good natural organic peanut butter to bring on those trips. It will sustain. It doesn't need to be refrigerated, especially on a 4 or 5 day trip. If you were out in the Southwest and it was really, really hot, and you were out there for like 7 days, this might get a little tricky, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. On a 2 or 3 day trip, especially in weather like this, you're going to be dealing with freezing, which is why on the water bottles, I tend to go with large mouth water bottles, because in the wintertime, these are, if you have a small mouth water bottle at the top and it's narrow at the top, it's going to freeze on you. So this is important. And number two, I will bring a couple of apples to start off a backpacking trip, but generally I'm going to try to eat those down real fast because it's going to add weight. They're not going to last long. They're also going to bruise oftentimes just because you're packing everything so tight. So you got a couple days with these, but I really love a tortilla, which is a huge thing. Like I love tortillas. I don't bring bread out there. As far as like a loaf of bread, it's just too big and bulky and it smashes and it's gross after a while. But this is a go-to. An apple peanut butter tortilla combo for me is a huge go-to, especially if I have a little bit of granola or like a trail mix or anything. I'll mix that all in there and just roll that up and eat it. So that is a pretty common staple for me camping, whether I'm car camping or backpacking. I like tortillas because you can get 10 or 12 in a really small pack. So I'm going to slide this out right now. But, you know, this is a very small pack. It's about the size of my hand. And I got 10 or 12 tortillas in here. What's nice about a tortilla also, especially even if you're eating meals and you just want to supplement a meal, this actually is almost like a spoon. So I like these, you know, when it gets mushy and stuff, I'll eat it, you know, and start eating this thing down. But for the most part, it allows me to scoop things. I can roll things in. It keeps my hands clean. So all my mess, it actually will kind of become its own plate as I make the food on top. Whether it be, this is a great backpacking thing that I like to eat, which is little pre-made tuna packs. It's about 110 calories in here, and it's pre-seasoned. So this one's hickory smoked. You can get jalapeno. The sodium count on them is pretty low, which is kind of nice. I'm dealing with some tinfoil wanting to blow away here. So really easy, but in the tortilla here, you get a little bit of carb, you get a little bit of protein. The protein is actually 18 grams, which is pretty good. So your protein to calorie content is good. Not a lot of high sugars in this, so really good combo for a lunch, especially if you supplement it with maybe like I got some snowmobiles rolling. See, the UP has tons of snowmobiles. They run all the time. It's great. I love the sound of them. I'm not a big fan of snowmobiling for my personal self. I'd rather like snowshoe or cross-country ski or take a hike through the woods. But snowmobiles have an absolute function in this type of environment where you're running through this all the time and running through trails. To get back on topic though, I love like dried fruit, like apricots. So having something like a kind of the savory of like a tuna salad with a little bit of fruit. I also love wrapping in tinfoil because it actually kind of becomes a plate. And when you're leaving, you can just wrap it all up. It's also, you know, if you're packing everything out, which is what we all need to do, which means don't forget a garbage bag in your backpacking set. It's one of the things that people forget all the time is the actual, and I've done it, so I know this. I'll show you these pre-made packs in a second. I have definitely had to like keep stuffing things into those little packs because they're like little Ziploc bags. But it would be much more convenient if I had a larger grocery sack. So I say that out of experience. But little dried fruit gives me a little bit of a plate to set down if I'm eating on rocks or if I'm eating in snow like this. Kind of a nice way to pack up. It does emit a lot of odor because it's not like sealed tight. So as far as like making sure you get your food up and out of the area when you're sleeping overnight or leaving your campsite, you're going to want to definitely do some food protection. But it's a nice way to do that. And it also, you know, a lot of the packages like for like beef jerky, like here's a bunch of beef jerky. It's really, you know, it's pretty small in my hand, but you know, those, you go to the gas station or whatnot, you know, the package is like this big, you know, and it's done to preserve it for a long period of time, provided a little bit of air to keep it dry, which is what jerky is. It's pretty much dried meat. So for lunch, you know, this would be a very common lunch too. You know, the dried fruit, maybe a little bit of like a trail mix of some sort. Just trail mixes are great. They're very, very high protein and fat content, which gets you through your day. Like a quarter cup, which is not that much. I mean, a quarter cup is nothing, and it's 140 calories in just a quarter cup, and it's got a few raisins, a little bit of chocolate, some walnuts, some peanuts, and bang for the buck. This is really great. You can buy them in multiple packs, so if one breaks, it's not going to be the end of the world, which is kind of nice. That's definitely happened where all of a sudden you open up, I just actually opened up a pack out of my van, and a bag of Doritos that completely exploded and was all over all the other food. And so having some smaller packs, so if you lose one, you can kind of eat what you need to and then kind of get back on your way, and you're not losing all the container for your whole trip. So again, beef jerky, what would be like a car camping. So this is just a little piece of dried beef, very, very light. But this would be different than a hot dog. Hot dogs are actually very heavy. They're full of water. Even when you cut them open, there's full of juices. Water is weight. A gallon of water is 10 pounds. So carrying this is where you want to put your weight, is in your water, to prep all this other food that's here. So let's walk through this. This can even go like beef jerky. If you get plain beef jerky, I often dehydrate meats. And so I'll create what's kind of called like a chipped meat. Like chipped beef is common. And you actually put it in the food. So if you had some level of noodle dish and you wanted to add a protein to it, it doesn't have a lot of flavor, just a little bit of salt. And it's basically a very basic beef jerky without kind of that shiny, oily kind of look that a lot of beef jerky has. So a couple things there. So this would be kind of in place of hot dogs, you're using beef jerky. In place of bread, you're using tortillas. It's all about size, condensing, and then maximizing your calorie count for the amount of space that you have. In breakfast time, you're going to see things like oatmeal, those pre-made oatmeal packs. Great amount of you know, great way to start your day. A little bit sweet, which is kind of nice. I like often have some sweet things in the morning. I also like savory. So some people are going to have things like these pre-packaged meals, like this is biscuits and gravy. Some people love this. This is like their go-to. You hear a lot of backpackers say the biscuits and gravy is great in the morning. Now, how you make these, everyone on the back will tell you the amount of water that you want to boil. Now, you don't want to take this whole thing and then just throw it in a pot and start boiling it. You just want to use the minimum amount that you need to maximize your fuel usage here by only needing to heat up the minimum amount of water. The more water you have to heat up, the more gas you're going to use. If it's left over, that's fine, but you just use extra gas. So about a cup to 2 cups in here, and all you're doing, this rips off the top. It's a big Ziploc bag. It can handle boiling hot water. You pour that boiling hot water that you heated up on your stove over here, you zip it shut, you let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes. It usually will tell you on the package how long. You squish it a little bit to kind of mix it up. So instead of using a spoon, you're kind of doing that in the bag, and then you take that out and eat it. Now, again, long backpacking spoons are really nice, so you don't get the cup of your sleeve as you're kind of going towards the bottom of your meal. I didn't bring one today, but regular spoons will totally work. It's just you really want to watch that, because you don't want to have that food product in your tent with you, so critters can smell inside your tent that there's food. So you kind of want to watch that. Now, there's ultralight backpacking stuff like this little tiny spoon right here, a little sporky kind of thing. Very, very light, very easy to eat, and you know, but you'd have to kind of be careful again. But as far as like weight-wise for an ultralight backpacker, that's definitely something you might see them use as they're going along. So one of these with a long spoon, and as you're mixing up stuff, probably pretty good to go at that point if I was in an ultralight backpacking situation. So you have morning breakfast. Again, oatmeals are solid, the instant oatmeals. stuff like biscuits and gravy. When you move to lunch, you're moving, like I often move towards like tortillas. It's flat, they condense, you can roll them up really tight. If they crack, it's not the biggest deal in the world. A little peanut butter, a little apple on the first couple days, but after that I might move to more of a protein content, like a preset tuna pack. This is hickory smoked. They have jalapeno, they have ranch, they have all these things that are already kind of seasoned. They don't come with mayo, which is nice because just mayo, I go bad. I think I feel a little funky about that. But this actually has 110 calories, 18 grams of protein, real thin, very light, and you just put it right on the tortilla, and your hands are free. Another snowmobile going by, and you know, that with a little bit of the dried fruit or apricot, whether it be dried apples, dried pineapple, whatever it might be, giving you your sugar content, super easy. So there you go. You got a little bit of lunch. I really focus in on the tortillas, stuff you can pack away. You might even pre-do them and bring them with you. That's where the tinfoil is nice. You can roll that tortilla up inside the tinfoil and seal it for if you do a day hike out of kind of a base camp area. So last one, dinner time. Instead of this big heavy can of soup, you're going to these already freeze-dried meals, and you're adding in water, cooking it the same way you do the biscuits and gravy, just different concepts. Chili beef with mac. This is beef pasta marinara. Now, this one in one pack has about 2.5 servings. So each one of these packs is roughly between 400 and 500 calories. So that's just something to know. And the last one to know is that these can be really high in sodium, and it's like eating a bag of chips. Like one of these, if you ate this whole thing, is 75% of your sodium for the day. That's a little much. If you're eating them two of these a day, put you at 150%, which is not good. You're gonna feel like you're like eating Pringles all the time, and your system's gonna hate you, and you're gonna be killing your water source because you're gonna be trying to dilute that your system of all that salt. So this other brands, this for the whole bag is 40%. So just know that the branding is really important in regards to like what you're trying to accomplish in your day. You might say chili mac is my favorite, but that day you might also look at your other food sources and try to minimize that sodium intake, where something like this keeps you a little bit more balanced in each meal. So it's really looking at the back of those food items on the nutritional facts section and going through that and saying, what do I have in here? What am I receiving? What am I getting? What are the nutrients? What are the pieces that I need to be aware of? So with backpacking, look at this. 2 meals, 3 meals, tortillas. Look at all this. I have like probably 2.5, 3 days worth of food sitting in a pretty small pack. So I have 2 dinners, I have 2 breakfasts, I have all the lunches I need. So this is almost like 2 days worth of backpacking food, and it's really not bigger than the size of definitely not bigger than the size of a volleyball, especially if I really condense this down into what we call a crunch sack, which I'll be going over some of the gear later on crunch sacks. This is maximizing your space, maximizing your poundage as far as like keeping everything as light as possible going forward. And of course, that's going to be in there as well, and add a little bit of poundage, but I'm willing to sacrifice on certain things. I think everybody is. So if you need condiments with anything, I don't know about you, but in my van and with all the camping stuff, all the packets that I get for like going through drive-thrus, I save. So I have a bunch of packets if you really need a condiment or two. I got ketchup, mustard, Frankie's Red Hot sauce. I got egg roll sauce. I got about everything in there over some time of going through drive-thru, especially this time of COVID where a lot of food's getting delivered. So those can also go in there if you need them. So take care, everybody. Bart the Nature Guy. Peace out. Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Be in your classes throughout the week. Talk to you. Bye-bye.